Dolphins and Patriots. It's blustery, it's raw, and we're ready to let it rip here with the Dolphins and the Patriots. Jim Nantz and Phil Simms on the call here today. You believe the weather here is going to be a factor. We've seen gusts today, over 40-mile-an-hour gusts at times. You say it's starting to diminish, but still a factor.
Yeah, it's still windy, you know, and you got an emotional game now because what it stands for with the Patriots. And like I said, the Miami Dolphins would love to ruin their season or their seeding, but the wind has died down dramatically since I was down on the field, Jim. But you're emotional, it's cold, it's breezy. Be careful handling the football early.
25, feels like 7, wins up to 30. Miami won the toss and has elected to defer, kicking to the Patriots, who will go into those breezes, gusts, gale force winds, whatever you want to call it, to start this game. And the kick to Slater for a touchback, negating with a second week on the job as the kicker for the Dolphins. Here comes Tom Brady again. Magnificent numbers this year. The 32 touchdowns versus only 8 interceptions. 15-6 all time against Miami in his career. His line, and he had a lot of high praise for them when we met with Brady this week. Mankins is still not 100%, but he's in there today at left guard. And look at this. Gronkowski, in fact, is up and starting. There he is lined up on the right side. So after missing 5 games with that forearm fracture, Gronkowski back week 17. And they come right out with a spread formation. And Brady firing it to Hernandez, who tries to split 2 defenders and barrels ahead for a gain of 14.
So difficult to defend. Both tight ends, top of the screen, and you want to lock on. Kevin Burnett, he follows Gronkowski up the field, so what does that do? That opens the underneath passing lane for Aaron Hernandez.
Hernandez has been going alone here these last 5 weeks with Gronkowski out and has posted huge numbers. On first down, play action, and a toss over to Woodhead, who's got a big running lane ahead before he's shoved out by Kevin Burnett. Another big gainer. 2 plays, 2 big plays by the Patriots. This good for 24.
Yeah, what they do, the Patriots of late have been play action, the fakes, and he's been looking deep down the field. The coverage, they're playing safe, so he knows his outlet is to Danny Woodhead. That's a matchup where the Patriots can really do a better job against the Dolphins than the first game. The underneath guys, the running back and tight ends, throw and catch it better.
Back to the base formation now for the first time. It's Ridley up the middle before he is wrapped up with 2 hands, gain of 5. The Miami defense actually in the first matchup back December the 2nd, just 4 weeks ago, held the Patriots to a season low 321 yards. Wake heading to the Pro Bowl. Dansby, their middle linebacker, their top tackler. And Patterson is starting at one corner. Jones, who had an interception of Brady in that game down at Miami, a game that the Patriots won 23-16. Coach Belichick, though, was not very happy with the way his team performed down there at the beginning of the month.
Gold Cougar! Cougar! Over! Cougar! 58 to Mike!
O'o Manawanui is in on a wing to the right. And they're going to go back to Ridley for a second straight play. And Ridley has a first down. Nice block by Wendell, and it gains 9.
You said it right. Ryan Wendell, the center. What a job he has done this year. 62. Gets up on the linebacker, and Dansby can't get off until there's a big gain. But I think what the Miami Dolphins are going to find out here today. This Patriots offense, yeah, you handled it down there in the warm weather in the grass. Up here in the cold in this field, they are different, especially this, the up-tempo offense.
Back to Ridley, shifting around, and another good chunk. Give him about 6. So Coach Belichick, during the week, of course, you don't know what's going to happen in the 1 o'clock set of games, but he said for anything good to happen, we have to win. We know that going in. We speculated, had Houston won that game, and of course, Patriots knowing the results by kickoff, that perhaps we wouldn't have seen the starters all the way. Of course, that's completely changed now.
Yeah, it was just a guess on our part. They're a beat-up football team. A lot of guys nicked. If the game meant nothing, they'd have to play accordingly.
2nd and 4, and Ridley ducks as Soliai was in on him, crashing in a hurry, and a loss of 1.
Yeah, some big problems on Miami's defense when you try to play him. There's 1, 96. He's a big guy to stop, hard to defend against the run, and then when you throw the football, you got to protect Tom Brady, of course, and it's number 91, Cameron Wake. You talked about him, Jim. He is the real deal. when it comes to rushing the passer.
Well, because of Wake and other pressure, they got to Brady 4 times, sacked him 4 times 4 weeks ago. Here on 3rd and 6, and a ball is dropped by Hernandez. So that'll bring out Gostowski. The Patriots picked up 3 first downs on the first 4 plays.
Well, he hadn't come in there yet. They're going for it.
Well, how about this? They're going to
how
bring
about
out
that?
Brandon Lloyd comes out. He did not start the game. Lloyd, as Gronkowski now jogs to the sideline. Lloyd is in. Deion Branch, who did get the start at the beginning of this game, is also in. 4th and 6, bypassing now a 42-yard field goal try.
Hey,
Very interesting.
Yeah, long field goal. Didn't like the way their kicker warmed up. This is into the wind, so I understand why he's going forward. I'm for it.
And Brady fires it incomplete. And the Dolphins able to really lock down and force the ball back over to the Miami offense for the first time.
Excellent stand by this defense.
They were going to Welker, incomplete, ball to Miami. In warm-ups, Gostowski, here's an example of the winds he was dealing with from 48 in warm-ups. And that ball getting thrown well left of the upright. So they eschew the chance for the field goal and fail to convert on 4th down. And now here comes Tannehill and the Dolphins, first down at the 24. With Reggie Bush picking up a yard. Tannehill starting every game this year. The first Dolphin rookie quarterback to start all 16 games. He has not thrown an interception now over the last 4+ games. His line with Pouncey at center. Second-year man from Florida. He's outstanding. And Bush needed 40 coming in. Count down to 39 after that last carry to get 1,000 for the 2nd straight year. Second and 9. Across the middle and knocked down. It was going to Bush, but Mayo got a fingertip on it. Nice play by Mayo, and here is the New England defense, tops in the league in turnover differential. And Dedrick's been playing well here in recent weeks. Mayo in on that last play, preventing the completion. And all kinds of movement in terms of the lineups today. Chung had 2 picks in the last 4 minutes last week down at Jacksonville. He starts, McCourty moves over, Talib is out, Dennard and Talib are out today. They bring in Derek Martin as an extra DB here on 3rd and 9. Pressure. Tannehill is sacked at the 21. And it's Justin Francis, the rookie from Rutgers, who drops him for a 4-yard loss.
Yeah, he's been showing up in the pass rush too, but it's the outside. Rob Ninkovich makes Tannehill step up, and then when you step up as a quarterback, the offensive linemen, they lose their sense where the quarterback is. Francis gets off and makes the sack.
Brandon Fields will take the snap from John Denny, and watch the ball may shift around a little bit and flutter back to the punter. Wes Welker is back to return it.
Good point. This snap is into the wind.
Well, I noticed it on the shotgun snap. It was a little bit wavering. Tight spiral back to Fields, who averages 50 yards a punt. Welker grabs it and goes down the sideline and out near the 50.
How about that?
So Fields didn't catch that one with the wind. The sack by the New England defense, and the Patriots will have it for the 2nd time.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Verizon. Upgrade your human specifications with Droid DNA. And by 1&1 My Website, where creating a business website is easy.
The process of clearing out the snow from the blizzard overnight. It dumped up to a foot actually in parts here of Massachusetts and the New England area. 43rd straight drive for New England, starting on its own side of the field, and an incompletion headed toward Wes Welker. Well, Welker's of course a Pro Bowler, as are these other ones. Brady and Mankins. Wilford Gronkowski makes it. Mayo and Matthew Slater, the special teams man extraordinaire, for the 2nd time.
There you go. That's why the special teams here in New England, they take great pride in them, and they spend a lot of time, and their special teams units as good as anybody in the NFL. Here's their blitz, double inside blitz. Kevin Coyle, they like this look.
2nd and 10. Complete. Hernandez for 8. 3rd and 2 coming up. And we're going to head to New York for the update on the Broncos and Chiefs.
Denver playing with some incentive.
Opening drive, 8 plays, 69 yards. No Sean Moreno, 3-yard TD run, 7-0 Broncos. Denver wins. They will be the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs.
Jim Nance, Phil Simms.
All right, thank you, JB and Boomer. And if that happens and then New England wins, then the Patriots would move up to the 2. Houston would be the 3. I got a Dolphin shaken up. Kevin Burnett will take a moment break. Kevin Burnett has to sit out a play, as well as his teammate Sean Smith. They ran into each other, colliding as they converged in on Hernandez. So they'll step aside for one play anyway. Brian McCann in for Smith. Jonathan Freeney in for Burnett. And the Patriots face a 3rd and 2 from the Miami 44.
Pop. 59? All right, Roger.
First down. Hernandez again to the 36 and picks up 9.
There's where the matchups, it's so hard for these linebackers. And these are athletic linebackers that the Miami Dolphins have. And here you see Dansby trying to run across the field with Aaron Hernandez. That is just not going to work. You have to take your extra defender, or maybe 2, play him inside, and you got to make Tom Brady throw the football outside the numbers. That's what they're going to do.
Well, they exploited the matchup with Freeney having just stepped in. Here's Brady rifling it incomplete, and it was headed toward Brandon Lloyd. Keep your fantasy football season going with Playoff Challenge and compete throughout the postseason and a chance to win up to $1,600. Sign up now, cbsports.com/challenge. Joe Philbin coming home. He's a Massachusetts man. His parents still live up this way, down in Long Meadow. Same house he grew up in. 2nd and 10. Ridley jammed up after a pickup of a couple. Pretty fascinating thing when you think about it. The head coach and the offensive coordinator, they go all the way back, well, to the high school days for Philbin. He played for Mike Sherman, and then Sherman taught English and coached Joe Philbin at Worcester Academy.
How about that?
Back in the 1979-1980 season, Philbin was doing some postgraduate work.
Mike Sherman, offensive coordinator now here with the Dolphins from Texas A&M University.
4 down, 15
3rd
down.
and 7, and I assume, based on what they did last time, again, 4 down territory from the 33. And they come after Brady. He gets the pass away, and it was for a moment in the hands of Hernandez. And then Jimmy Wilson helped break it up.
Well, it's not 4 down territory this time, Jim. They're bringing in the punting unit, but Wilson on the outside against Hernandez. The Miami Dolphin defensive backs, even the backups, are aggressive. They're physical on the outside. That's why I say make Tom Brady throw it out there, see if you can make a play.
Nice play by Wilson. Nope, they're going to bring out Mesco. Mesco taps it down to the 7-yard line where Thigpen.
He was hit.
It was contact.
There was definitely contact there on a fair catch signal.
No flag. Miami takes over after the 26-yard punt from its own 7.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by USAA, proudly serving the financial needs of the military veterans and their families. And by GMC. Enter the Never Say Never sweepstakes for a chance to win a 2013 GMC vehicle at gmc.com/NFL.
All right, so Miami with its second series. New England's already run 14 plays. And nothing on the board.
Watch him, Richie, watch him. There you go, go right there, go right there. All right, whoa. Go!
Tannehill has Hartline for a nice gainer out past the 20 and a gain of 15. You were looking at tape and you were impressed by what you saw on the season by Brian Hartline.
Yeah, I am. Outside the New England Patriots defense, everybody's up there. Patrick Chung near the line of scrimmage. Why? They were expecting run, so they took the easy throw outside, and Yes, Brian Hartline, a little secret weapon here, doesn't get the credit he deserves.
His brother Mike, a quarterback out of Kentucky, was in minicamp with the Patriots back in May and released. Chopped after a gain of 1. So here's the rookie quarterback, and you love to, of course, examine the quarterbacks all week long. Ryan Tannehill, 12 touchdowns, 12 picks, and the season, in his mind, just flying by.
Yeah, flying by. I think he loves the routine of the NFL, how every day you know what you're going to do. But he has gotten better as the year has gone along, and I've noticed a difference the last 4 or 5 weeks. Better presence, just the way he handles himself, and better physically, too.
And 2nd and 9, and that pass got a little out of reach.
Got away from him. That's where going, the direction the Miami Dolphins are going. Right now, throwing the football to your left is going to be the problems. I watched all these guys warm up, and every quarterback on the field throwing into the wind or with the wind to the left side is tough.
Trying to hit Rashard Matthews, a rookie from Nevada.
Beautiful follow through. I thought as I watched him throw a lot, I was down on the field, freezing, of course, Jim. I don't know where you were, but
I was here by the heaters.
Yeah, I hear you. But the more he threw the ball during warm-ups, the better he got. So he got used to the elements.
Faces a 3rd and 9. Just barely beats the down block. And Tannehill's pass is intercepted. Well, you can see that one coming. It's Gregory returning it toward the 29. Ninkovich put pressure on the quarterback that forced that throw.
Yeah, the rhythm of the play. First off, he's fighting once again to get the football protection. He knows he's going to get hit, so he had to make the decision that much quicker. And when you do, what does it do, Jim? It leads to mistakes. He does get hit. I like it when the Patriots, their pass defense is aggressive. Look at Kyle Arrington. He is all over Matthews that time.
Gregory, the former Charger, makes the interception. You saw the shotgun snap again. It was fluttering back to the quarterback on a throw then that was intended for Matthews. So the 40th takeaway of the year by New England. From the 28, they finally started driving the opposite side of the field, and Gronkowski is back with a catch.
Well, Aaron Hernandez has got his buddy again, because when they work in tandems, there they are again. Up on the field, the first time everybody went to Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez was wide open, and that time, hey, Aaron Hernandez gets the attention, and how could you miss? 6'6", as big as he is, but they did. Nobody covered him.
Gains 19, 1st and goal. And Brady to the end zone, touchdown! Touchdown, Wes Welker! The former Dolphin, Welker, from 9 yards out.
It's the speed of the offense. They don't give you time to think and reset your defense or your thinking. Double tight end to the left. Everybody spreads out. Look at that. You don't see a defense where nobody is on the inside. Nobody was alert that Wes Welker came in motion. When you see a wide receiver come from outside behind the tight ends, that's where you look, is right over the ball.
And Brady now has moved past Johnny Unitas on the consecutive game touchdown pass list. Gostowski drills the extra point. 48 games in a row. Brady with at least one touchdown pass. It goes to Welker, and they cash in off the pick and go up 7-0. Well, Tom Brady, he now is chasing after Drew Brees, who recently saw his streak end at 54. Brady now at 48 consecutive games. And Unitas, 47, had that record for so many years, so many decades. 3 consecutive full seasons with at least one touchdown pass, a streak that began with Game 1, 2010.
Now, I know they didn't score their first 2 drives, but Jim, you can see the crispness, the speed, the determination. You know, I can see that because the last couple weeks, this Patriots offense hasn't been clicking the way they wanted to, so I'm sure during practice all week long, there was a sense of urgency.
And we know that Brady spoke to the team during the week.
Yeah, I'm sure that was, hey, I love you guys.
It's Dick Penn. Yeah, I'm sure something like that. The 26-year-old rookie cuts around a couple of times, and unfortunately for the Dolphins, there's a flag down that'll wipe out that hard effort of 28 yards.
Well, you've just thrown an interception. Now you're going to be backed up. These are times when it's tough on a quarterback, especially a young one. Coach needs to call a play.
During the return, holding, return team, number 29. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Amaya called for that from Jerome Boger. And what happened on the touchdown?
Wes Welker wide open, comes behind the tight ends. Here's the tight end in the flat, tight end hooking up. Let's look at it real quick. Do you lose sight of Wes Welker? I think so. No linebacker sees him. Everybody's worried about the tight ends, and how about that? That's a play that was put in the offense with us, with the Giants in 1984, and everybody in the league, it runs this concept even today. Ron Earhart came up with it. Wes Welker, nice catch, protect the football.
Miami backed up for the second straight series inside the 10. Lamar Miller, a rookie from Miami. Stopped by Jones. Got an update on the Packers and the Vikings. Back to JB and Boomer in New York.
Adrian Peterson wants ED's record.
Well, the Vikings win. They are in. 7-yard TD run. 61 yards on the day thus far for Adrian Peterson. 147 to break Eric Dickerson's rushing record. Packers need to win this to secure the number 2 seed.
Jim Nantz, Phil Simms.
Yes, and of course, if Minnesota wins, that would knock out Chicago. 2nd and 7. Tannehill's pass incomplete. Again, there was pressure. He was trying to find Fasano at the end.
Well, you said it right, Jim. Couple things when you watch this Dolphins offense today. The Patriots, very cognizant. Keep him in the pocket. Don't let him step up and run. Don't let him go outside where there's just no pressure on the quarterback. They did the same thing against Andrew Luck. He had a hard time making some throws down the field. They want to take that same concept and use it today against Tannehill.
Tannehill's 1 out of 5 with a pick, and he's been sacked once. 3rd and 7. Takes off running with it. Tannehill has the first down, and this is now something we're seeing more of from the rookie quarterback, running the football.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a really good call by Mike Sherman. Very timely, obvious pass. Everybody is deep. And they said, we asked him, Jim, why are you running Tannehill more now? Well, it's late in the year. We had a rookie quarterback. We didn't want him banged up or hurt early. Now he's got the experience, and they're using those legs.
Gain of 7 for the first down. Play action and looking sideline to Hartline, who gets away from McCourty, and a nice shift out across the 40.
Well, this is what I see Hartline doing, and every time I watch the Dolphins play, goes down the field, and he just gives you that, it's deception. That's what it's all about when you're a route runner. Deceive the defense. McCourty thought he was going deep, so he turns to go deep, and that's when Hartline stops, and good timing by Tannehill.
71st catch on the season for Hartline, who's over 1,000. That one good for 21. Here they were stuck back at the 8-yard line just a moment ago, now with the first down at the 40. It's Miller with his second handle. And a nice shift there to prevent the tackle behind the line of scrimmage and gain 4. He escaped Hightower and takes it out to the 44. Tonight on 60 Minutes, a robotic breakthrough that is stunning the medical world. Plus film director Judd Apatow on 60 Minutes tonight only, CBS. We were talking about Tannehill running the football, and that was the big one to keep the drive going. He's had a 30 and a 31-yard run the last 2 weeks.
Gives the defense a little more to think about. Here it is.
Miller off the left side for a couple. 3rd and 4 on the way for Miami.
Of course, this, Jim, they did run a play down in Miami where he faked that and kept it and scored. But the New England Patriots, not like a lot of defenses in the NFL, they stand there and take you on physically. So it's hard for this zone read or the quarterback give and go, whatever you want to call it, doesn't work as well against this Patriots defense.
3rd and 4.
Interesting look here by the defense.
Tannehill looking for an option. In trouble. And sacked for the second time. It's Dederick who gets to him. We said he's been improved. His improved play the last couple of weeks. He got the start here today.
Well, so that's why he's starting, Jim. Let's watch it here. Mayo that time, number 51, spying the quarterback. And you said it, Dederick, he's a good athlete inside. You can see the speed, and he can run Tannehill down there and get the sack. But the coverage initially is good. That's why the quarterback scrambled. Defense makes the tackle.
And a loss of 6. 2 sacks by the Patriots now. And Fields in the punt for the second time. Rucker. Fingertip grab at the 10. And a flag thrown in at the 15. As he's decked at the 19 by Amaya.
I tell you, Fields is kicking some screaming live drives down there.
He is. He's not getting up in the jet stream, which he has the chance to do when they're going in this direction. That traveled 50 yards.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 26. Half the distance to the goal. New England keeps the ball. First down.
Called on Derek Martin. There's the Dedrick sack. 7-0 New England. Patriots will start this next drive from the 8. Thursday on CBS, catch the first new Elementary of the year and see why it's TV's #1 new show Thursday on America's most watched network, CBS. Jim Nantz, Bill Sims, back here at Gillette Stadium. Patriots trying to win to get a first-round bye. Could climb as high as the 1 seed if Denver was to fall to Kansas City. That's now a 7-3 game, Broncos. A win, though, and a Denver win would put him in the 2 slot. Here is Ridley, wrapped up in a hurry, but able to take a defender with him for a couple yards. Jimmy Wilson was on his back.
This Miami Dolphins defense, Jim, you and I were talking about it. They're outside, their safeties, whatever you want to call them, that play the inside receivers. A lot of times it's Jones. That time it was Wilson. They fly in there and make tackles in the run game. And, of course, they sack the quarterback every once in a while, too.
Second and 8. Brady to Walker. And a first down at the 21. Dimitri Patterson on the coverage. Just signed less than 2 weeks ago. Getting to start with Nolan Carroll sitting out this one with a knee injury.
Yes, Dimitri Patterson just picked up by the Dolphins. I like him. He is an aggressive cover guy. In other words, he's not afraid. He'll take chances. And you're going to need to take some chances if you want to stop Wes Welker.
Well, he got cut on a Monday by Cleveland. And then he started 6 days later.
Not uncommon in this league anymore.
And now 2 for 2 in the start department. First and 10, and it's Woodhead. Woodhead speeding past a number of defenders out to the 44. Danny Woodhead.
Yeah, Danny Woodhead. First off, good job by Tom Brady. Being a screen thrower, takes a lot of talent, changes his arm angle, and gets it over the top. Does a little jump pass. And Woodhead, he is full speed, isn't he, Jim? So when he catches the ball or he runs around, whatever he does, it is quick. A little Joe Cap jump pass by Tom Brady. Good job by Mankins. Hit the ground as an offensive lineman on screens. Jump over.
And a whistle.
Before the snap, false start, offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
You know, a lot of people thought last week the Patriots were lackluster in their victory down at Jacksonville by 7. And you may have heard that Tom Brady brought the team together and had a little chat with him. And we'd asked him about it. He said, I was just frustrated. We didn't execute. Hey, these guys picked me as captain, and that's what, I'm supposed to be.
Sure.
The captain.
Got to speak up.
Got to lead.
And you know what? They were lackluster.
First and 15. To Walker. Look at him just going through the traffic.
How about it? How about this screen game? We saw the inside screen to Woodhead. Let's just do it outside. You get the defense. Wilson is coming on the blitz. That gives them even more of a running lane out there. Wes Welker, another full speed right away guy.
Oh, look at Vollmer, then Wendell, and then Mankins. That offensive line leading the brigade in a gain of 23.
They do this so much and with such speed that there's a lot of reasons it work. Talent, design, and then the uniqueness of how they run their offense helps it all out.
You were just talking about Dimitri Patterson, and he's shaken up. Six-year man out of Tuskegee, and again just signed 14 days ago to the Miami roster and stepping right in with a couple of starts. So the thin in the secondary, and Patterson getting a lot of medical attention at the moment. There was a great ceremony here on the field at Gillette Stadium before the game. They honored the great broadcast duo here for so many years for the Patriots. Gil Santos, the play-by-play man. There he is for 36 years. He's retiring at the end of the season. And, of course, the legendary Gino Cappelletti, who retired before the start of the season from the booth. They were a team for 28 total years. There's Gino Cappelletti, who scored the first ever points, by the way, in AFL history. So anyway, Mr. Kraft and Jonathan Kraft down there before the game, thanking this duo for their great service to the organization for so many years. They put Gil Santos in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
You know what I like, what I heard? That the heck with all this newfound technology, TV screens and this, they put the binoculars up there and they watch the game to see who's making the tackles. No spotters, no help. We got it. Don't worry.
Boy, they are beloved up this way, though.
They are. The crowd was going crazy when they were on the field. It was a wonderful sight to see.
I asked Gil Santos before the game his favorite Patriot game he ever called, and he said it would be the Super Bowl win against St. Louis. The Vinatieri winner at the end. Let's in fact, let's dip into their broadcast here.
Okay.
Maybe see you in New Orleans.
Gino, thank you for being with us today, and
Thank you,
you for 28 great years. I enjoyed every minute
Hall
of
of
it.
Famer. Thank you, buddy.
All right, it's a 1st and 10 Patriots at the Miami 37-yard line. Brady up under center. One lone running back behind Brady. This is Shane Vereen, takes the handoff to the left side, cuts across the 30, down inside the 30 to the Miami 27-yard line, close to a first down. Goes Patriots Shane Vereen.
You know what you heard there?
Mixing and matching right now with the running backs.
You heard the goodbye. Gino Cappelletti again had retired from the booth before the season and was going to call just their first quarter, stepping in for Scott Zolak. They said their goodbyes. Santos called the run. We've come to the end of the first quarter with New England driving and leading 7-0. Happy holidays to all of you from CBS Sports. Happy New Year. Jim Nance and Phil Simms. Starting the second quarter here in Foxborough. 172 yards of offense in that first quarter by the Patriots. They go with Vereen, who picks up the first down on 2nd and 1.
I think my number one key for this Patriots offense today, well, I know it was protect Tom Brady. So far, the protection has been outstanding. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, Tom Brady has taken some big hits. Cameron Wake delivered a couple of them down in Miami. Last week against Jacksonville, 3 or 4 times just driven to the ground by defensive linemen.
Josh McDaniels, graduate of John Carroll University, same school that produced Don Shula. Sending in a play here on 1st and 10. Not bad, 172 yards into the win. Significant win first quarter. Now downwind. From the 23. Brady launches it, and it's incomplete. Trying to find Lloyd, who had the one-on-one coverage. Ryan McCann was the one defending.
Yeah, you know, Jim, let's just go back. It's a windy day. Look at everybody's inside. They're trying to cover, and then you put a safety in the middle. So you're going to force Tom Brady to throw it outside. And that time he tries to hit it up the sideline. It's a good thought, but with the wind, it's cold. It makes it much more difficult.
2nd and 10 now. Spread things out, and they go to the ground with Vereen. Trying to navigate his way through a lot of bodies there. Picks up only a couple. This New England offense, again, #1 in the league. When we talked to Coach Belichick about all the things that he feels like on the season, if he can look back on it, what has been the thing that stood out the most? He said our ability to score. We're really proud of the fact that they've outscored the next closest opponent in the league by more than 100 points.
That is really, in this day and age, that is an incredible number. And consistently every week. Points, yards, time of possession, they get it all done.
3rd and 8.
How about this? Everybody within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Before the snap, false start. Offense, number 81. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
So the call against Hernandez.
Well, you know, Jim, what happened is they made Tom Brady change the rhythm of what they were doing, and look how tight everybody is to the line of scrimmage. So as a quarterback offensive line, you're going, who's going to blitz? What are we going to do? And so the uncertainty causes the penalty.
Second false start on this drive against the Patriots, and the Miami defense, Anderson, ankle injury, questionable to return. 3rd and 13. Stepping up, and firing it. Deion Branch at the 10-yard line.
Well, they did the right thing. Look at the middle of the field. That's what's open. Tom Brady steps up inside. Look at the extra time. And do you think he threw that one hard?
Whew.
And Deion Branch, this is excellent coverage by Sean Smith all over him. But Branch runs through the football, doesn't lose ground, and Brady throws it perfectly for the first down.
Yeah, gain 16.
Oof is right.
1st and goal. Serene gets about halfway home.
Kind of goes back to that theory again, Jim. This is an inside throwing football team, except when they're trying to go deep down the field. Sometimes they go outside. Miami, the first game, put all the extra defenders in there all the time, and it did hurt them a little bit. You know, it was not as easy for Tom Brady. When you spread those safeties, they throw it to everybody inside.
They are the #1 red zone offense, and Miami is the #1 red zone defense. 2nd and goal. Got it down to about the 2 again with Vereen.
Shane Vereen today getting some extra work here and getting in the game. And, you know, these last few times, every time I watch the Patriots play, I say the same thing just about. Boy, Stephen Ridley is, what a difference. From one year to the next, just keeps getting better when you watch him carry the ball. But today, Vereen looks like the guy.
Ridley had some good runs on the opening drive of the game. Now they spread it all out. 5 wides, Woodhead in motion, 3rd and goal. Woodhead shifts right back to flank the quarterback. Goes to Woodhead. He's done a step move, and he is stopped. It was Cameron Wake holding him to a yard. 4th and goal.
Yeah, should have known it was probably going to be a draw that time because everybody stayed spread. In other words, no receivers got in tight to get behind another receiver to call confusion. Good job by the Miami Dolphins, and Cameron Wake recognizing it.
Couple of extra tight ends come in for New England.
They got a lot of...
Manawa Nui and Daniel Fells.
Sorry, Jim, but I agree with this. Go for it. Put the Dolphins in a tough situation.
Ridley, the running back. Ridley, the handle, and Ridley straight ahead. Touchdown. Running behind Dan Connolly, who had come into the backfield.
That's being ready for a special situation. Logan Mankins gets a great double team, clears the way, and Dan Connolly just is going to run into anything that gets in front of him. And nice job by Stephen Ridley, too. Go behind your best run blocker, Logan Mankins. The fullback is an offensive lineman who can run.
Gostowski has now made 344 consecutive point afters. With Burnett trying to go high, trying to make the play, but Ridley drives it across for the touchdown on 4th down. Stephen Ridley with his 11th touchdown of the season. The Patriots drive at 92 yards, actually picked up 102 yards of offense when you factor in a couple of penalties, false start penalties. So they drive it right down, score on 4th down. You're looking at Marcus Thigpen, one of only 3 players in the league this year with a kickoff return and a punt return for touchdowns. Jacoby Jones, Trendon Holiday, the other 2. With the wind at his back, that one flies through the back of the end zone for Gostowski. Miami's managed only 45 yards as the New England defense come up with a pick, bunch of stops, 2 sacks, and leading by 14. Back here at Gillette Stadium, and Miami's offense trying to get something started. You look at the roster today with their inactives and all, as Tom Brady's now thrown a touchdown pass and just drove him down the field 92 yards. But you look at Miami's roster, 20 players dressed for offense today. 7 of them are rookies. 7 of the 20 dressed.
Well, I think that's why there's a little excitement down there, Jim. The rookie quarterback, first-year coach, and a lot of young players on this offensive side. You think it can only get better. But they're finding out what it's like to play in a veteran, tough football team right now.
Tannehill on first down, flings it to Matthews for the catch. And the first down, brought down by Arrington. JB and Boomer doing a good job of keeping us posted on all the playoff scenarios. Back to you in New York.
What else can you say about Peyton?
Well, his 35th touchdown pass of the season felt amazing. This time to Eric Decker. They're up 14-3. Broncos win. They secure the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs.
Jim and Phil.
28, go!
Wow, what a run for the Broncos. It's a pass over to Fasano, who's tackled at the 40.
You know, the thing that stands out when you see those highlights a lot of times with the Denver Broncos, Peyton looked left, he looked left, he looked left, turns right, throws the touchdown. The pass protection is outstanding out there in Denver. And today, Tom Brady, he's had all day to throw it to. Veteran quarterbacks with talent, don't rush them, you're going to lose.
You know, the last time Denver lost was right here, October the 7th. Against New England, week 5, 2nd and 1. Now look at the Patriots busting across, including Chandler Jones and Gerard Mayo hitting Bush for a loss of 1.
Well, they're just doing one thing here. I mean, it's 2nd and 1. It's run all the way. Look how quick Mayo gets inside, and everybody, Martin on the outside, they're playing the situation. A young quarterback, 2nd and 1. Let's take advantage of it. These linebackers, Mayo, Spikes, when they read it, they do not hesitate, they go.
It's 3rd and 3. Tannehill has a man open and he overthrows Bush. Reggie Bush, there is a flag down and may have roughed up the quarterback here.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, number 54. They hit on the quarterback, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Rookie on rookie, Hightower on Tannehill.
Just even in slow motion, you go, wow, that's not too late in full speed. I think they should throw the football more to him. Find more situations where he can take advantage of the fact that he's quick and he can really catch it.
First snap from New England territory, and it's Miller. With 3 Patriot defenders on him, and a gain of 3. Not only does CBS have the #1 comedy and drama and the top news shows, but this season more people watch the NFL on CBS than any other network. And for that, we thank you very much. Well, we've seen Miller with some spot duty so far, the rookie out of the University of Miami, drafted in the 4th round.
Yeah, he's done a good job when he's come in there.
Bush has come back in for him here on 2nd and 7.
28, go!
Nikovich coming in on Tannehill, somehow slips away, fires it, caught, 24-yard line. It's Matthews again. And the rookie's become quite a target here today. That's a gain of 20.
First off, good job by Tannehill. You know, he is a big guy. He's a good 6'4", but that's nice. Garner stays with the block and allows him to get free. Ryan Tannehill looking down the field. Probably one of the things he did in college that he's done here in the pros very well. That is throw on the run.
And that was a good catch, too, by Rashard Matthews.
Yeah, they're happy with what he's doing.
1st and 10, and there's the throw. Oh, and it's dropped at the 2-yard line. Armin Benz looked like he had it for a moment.
Pick up from the Cincinnati Bengals a couple weeks ago. This is an absolute perfect throw. Down the seam, sees the safety, just back shoulder, turn, make the catch, touchdown. It looks hard when you see that, but by NFL standards, these guys make that 98 times out of 100.
They're playing without Devon Bess, out again with a back injury. 2nd and 10 draw. Mayo meets Bush right at the line.
Well, Gerard Mayo can do everything. Good in the pass game, excellent against the run. He made 2 plays against the Dolphins, Jim, in the game a few weeks ago that I think there was a difference in the game. Knocked it down a receiver who's going to catch a touchdown pass and tripped up Reggie Bush on a screen where he's going to probably score.
Call it 3rd and 9. And the Dolphins extend this drive. Tannehill hit when he threw it over the head of Fasano.
Aggressive, I like it, by this Patriots defense. They got 6 rushers coming. Mayo's coming, Wilson's, and there's no time for Ryan Tannehill to decide what he likes down the field.
Got a Patriot defender down, and yeah, they also blitzed Derek Martin, so Tannehill just had to get rid of it. It's Ninkovich who is down on the field.
You don't think about it, but I'll tell you, when I watch New England play, when they're aggressive on defense, I've said this to you many times, they have success. I guess they don't want to do it too much. Maybe teams will get in rhythm with it.
But I tell you, when you do New England games, how many times do you talk about Rob Ninkovich? 8 sacks on the season, forced 5 fumbles on the year.
Well, we've talked about him. He was a special teams player, did so well. They said, well, what the heck? Let's reward him with a couple snaps in the game. Those couple snaps turned into a full-time starting job.
He had a brief stop in Miami as he's trying to get his career started, down in New Orleans as well. He even was trying to make it in the league one time as a long snapper.
That's right.
Well, he's going to be assisted to the sideline. Well, again, Denver's up 14-3 on Kansas City. A Bronco victory would give Denver the #1 seed in the AFC. Houston losing for the 3rd time in 4 weeks. Indianapolis welcoming back Chuck Pagano today, and the Colts, well, they knew they were going to be the 5 seed no matter the outcome, and they played everybody today the full distance, and they won the game.
They did. You know, Houston has the look of a team for so many weeks, made the play when it counted. You watch that game today, every time there was a play to be made, they didn't make it. It went the other way.
So you really look at this now. We know this. With Baltimore losing, locked in at the 4. We knew coming in that 5 and 6 were set as well. So 1, 2, and 3 here in the next couple of hours to be sorted out. And a New England win here would put the Patriots into the divisional round, bypassing a game next week in the wild card action.
Oh, for a team, how they must be. When they heard the news, the excitement, we talked about it. They're a beat-up football team.
Nate Kading, 41 yards. The former Charger kicker. Look how much that ball moved. Wide left. It started outside the right upright.
That open part of the stadium at the last second, catches that football and took it dead left.
Nate Kading has the all-time highest percentage field goal accuracy in league history, the longtime Charger, but missing wide left and making Bill Belichick look pretty smart for bypassing a field goal try from about that distance.
Yeah, they know that open little slot there in the stadium. When that football slows down, look out.
First and 10, Brady. Going for the deep ball, and it's incomplete. Brandon Lloyd. Again covered by McCann. His field goal try. Watch how Kading tried to play for it, compensate for it.
Is it going to hook enough? Oh, too much. You know, just think about it when you play golf. You hit a golf ball up in the wind, and it's going, and once it starts to slow down, that wind takes it, and it went dead left.
Sugar. Roger, how left?
2nd and 10 from the shotgun. Hernandez trying to break away. Dolphins hold on, stop him. McCann after a gain of 8.
Yeah, you know, you see Aaron Hernandez outside. It's just, well, how do you play him? And he looks like a wide receiver when he runs, and when he catches the football, he's more dynamic than most wide receivers because he's quick, fast, and he can break tackles.
He's lined up next to Gronkowski as they head to the playoffs. And the direct snap to Ridley. Look at this.
Oh, they love this play. You see that running back close to Tom Brady, that's what you have to think. How close is the running back? Well, he's right by, oh, he's behind him. Oh, I love it. Look, why waste that opportunity? We talk about that too, Jim. 3rd and 1 in the NFL is absolutely no given when you want to run the football.
Picks up 3 yards for the first down. How about the time for the quarterback today after being sacked 4 times by the Dolphins in the first matchup?
That was the #1 key. How about that spot? It's the space, nobody in front of him, and then everybody gets up the field. They're double teaming the 2 outside pass rushers, and Tom Brady steps up and delivers a strike that led to 7 points.
Brady 11 out of 19, 165 yards, and a touchdown.
This could be a blitz this time. This is a fake. They're good at it.
Woodhead gets the edge. Butts heads and actually picks up the first down. They give him the spot for 11. And how about the fact they have their 2 tight ends back as they go toward the playoffs? And you talk about the Patriots. They feel like they're healthier now than they have been at any other time this season.
Oh, yeah. And it's just... it adds to their plays that they can draw up and execute.
Marine.
The big thing that people don't realize, when you have these 2 tight ends like they do, the passing combinations, Mike, we could talk all day about those. But what you miss is the fact that Gronkowski on the line of scrimmage is one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL.
That never gets talked about.
Well, you can't because we're too mesmerized by all the catches and the runs and the personalities, but his blocking on the end of the line is terrific.
It's only the 4th time all season they both have been dressed for a game. The same game. Here's the little toss over to Woodhead, and again he's able to find a lot of running room after the catch. Deion Branch helps free him on that side.
No, you said it right. Watch 84 on the outside, blocking all the way. This is a quick screen to the outside. Swing it. Branch gets the block. And it's another short throw by the Patriots today for big yards. My count, I think that's at least 3 behind the line of scrimmage that all went for big yards.
You kept talking before the game about yards after the catch. Miami has to be...
yeah, they got to tackle better, or they got to get in position to do it.
First down. Take the short gain as Brady has just moved past Testaverde on the all-time completions list and the 8th all-time. Coming up, Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cowher, all the latest scores and all the playoff information you need coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Now, earlier in the year when they had both Gronkowski and Hernandez, Mankins was not 100%. So, as again, postseason is looming, starting to get everybody back, except, of course, they won't get Edelman back. He's IR'd. But other than that, getting healthy at the right time.
Great point.
2nd and 5.
That was better. Cameron Wake that time, he got it done. He was on the outside, slowed the run game down. Didn't get blocked, so it lets the linebackers. Look at 91 on the left side. That is a good job against Sebastian Vollmer, and Dansby comes in and makes the tackle.
So Ridley is stopped in a hurry. That has not been the case all that often. Ridley over 1,200 yards on the season, already with a touchdown today.
A little new, different look on the defense. Maybe rush 3 and put all those extra guys covering these inside receivers.
As we approach the 2-minute mark, 3rd and 4. Complete, and another first down to Welker. Welker has caught 12 passes in each of the last 2 games against Miami. He already has a touchdown today. This catch gives him a first down at the 2-minute warning. Up 14-0. How about that catch by Wes Welker a moment ago?
It's routine. I mean, come on, the guy. It's a fastball. He's coming out of a cut, and he fights it and still brings it in to get the first down.
Yeah, first down at the 15-yard line.
False start. Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You know, Jim, when you talk about this offense of the Patriots or this football team, you know, the Dolphins so excited, and now everything's on the line for this game. And when they look at the Patriots, they have talent. They have a unique scheme. So when you put those two things together, that's what you get. You get greatness, and that's what the Patriots have been on offense.
First and 15. Draw. Vereen up the middle to the 12. It's a gain of 8, and New England calls a timeout. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. Scores and highlights and playoff scenarios coming up from JB and the crew in our studio in New York. We're coming out of a Miami timeout. 2nd and 7.
Which makes sense. It was a good job by Joe Philbin calling timeout. Wanted to give his offense one more shot if they do get that chance.
Vereen runs it again. Dives to the 8. That'll be backed up by another timeout by the Dolphins.
There he is. Of course, I saw him walk down the field and call the first timeout, and I said, hey, New England timeout. But these are things you learn, you know, with Joe Philbin managing games. You're being a rookie coach.
Hey, I want to show you something here with Gronkowski in his return after 5 games out with a broken forearm. He's got 1 catch.
Number 87.
What's more impressive, watch the way he's blocking and protecting that left arm.
Well, that's amazing. I tell you what, he runs fast even with 1 arm. But what it does, if he can get through this game and not have a setback, it gives him confidence. He's on the field, back in the environment. That's what you need, no matter how good you are. We see it almost every week. First week back from injury, tough to get acclimated.
3rd and 3. Woodhead scampers for the first down. 1st and goal at the 2.
Offensive line's having a tremendous day today. That's what they're doing. Logan Mankins gets off of 1 block, gets another block down the field, and that time Nate Solder. Tom Brady checking off. Boy, Danny Woodhead just so quick. Stay on your block. He'll make the defense move a little, and then he'll cut the other way to get the extra yards.
So the Patriots are going to run it down the timeout with 1:04 to go and a 1st and goal. Denver's on the board again with another Manning to Decker combination.
How about that? You know, last year I heard all the time, you know, it's Eric Decker. He's just not that good of a wide receiver.
Well, you know what's...
Every time we did a game, we saw him get open deep.
Hey, with the way that one's going and the way this one is trending, which one never knows, but it's trending toward Denver 1, New England 2. Potentially AFC Championship game January 20th, potentially.
Potentially.
Brady and Manning out in Denver for the right to go to the Super Bowl.
We've done that one before.
Baltimore is now firm at the 4 spot. Indy the 5, Cincinnati the 6. 1st and goal. Ridley in for the 2nd time. Touchdown New England.
Down inside, 4th and 1, big running situations. Quick snap count by Tom Brady, and today they are going over the left side. You know,
that's the Mankin side, the Solder side.
That's what they're doing.
Look at Connolly out there as
Connolly
well.
leading again. Well, if they were lethargic last week, which they were, they are not today.
21-0 New England.
What a versatile football team when you can take a starting offensive lineman out and say, let's put him in the backfield sometimes and let him be the leading blocker. Right now we've seen 3 different running backs carry the football.
And they've all contributed.
That's what it's all about. Use everybody on the roster, keeps everybody motivated.
How about Gronkowski? We watched him how he was blocking with one arm. Here's his effort on the touchdown. Man, he is very careful with that left arm.
21-0. That's even cause for even being more careful.
And on his way, it appears, to having an extra week to get even healthier.
So big. And you know, Jim, of course, injury reports, they are what they are. I counted this week one time, the Patriots had 22 people on the injury report. Not saying they were all where, oh, they might not play or anything like that, but they do have a lot of bumps and bruises. They have fought injuries. You talked about it earlier, all year long.
That was a 14-play drive across 69 yards, and now 1 minute to go in the half. Stowski down to Thigpen, who is 3rd in the NFL when it comes to kick return average. Banged out of bounds at the 21. Nobody knows the game like a quarterback. Break down all the NFL action on NFL Monday QB. Monday, 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. You'll be in New York tomorrow for that?
Yes, I will.
You're supposed to do this from your home. What happened? Set up a little studio there in your
yeah, I was supposed to.
chateau in New Jersey?
I like to be next to Adam Shine as he yells at me, you know. He yells all the time, so.
I might try that.
You like that, yeah.
The truck agrees.
Yeah.
Everybody wants in on that. 1st and 10. Tannehill, careful. Got Hartline for the 3rd time. Gain of 8.
I'll tell you, my wife's got it down, though. The yelling part, yeah, she likes to yell at me, too.
Oh, now.
Yeah, it's all right. Doesn't hurt my feelings. It's okay. Yeah, it'd be nice if the Dolphins could just get some first downs here and get some confidence going into the second half.
On 2nd and 2. That's going to be good for a first down. No, there's a flag down as he was able to connect with Miller, but the flag in the area of offensive holding.
Holding, offense, number 75. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Nate Garner, the right tackle, hit with that one, and we hear Ninkovich now. It was a hip that Ninkovich injured, questionable to return.
Well, you know, Ryan Tannehill, right here, the big thing is be careful. Don't throw any gasoline on the fire. If they're not wide open, don't throw it.
Yeah. Go, go.
Even better.
Hand it off. Yeah, that was not an easy handoff either. Stretched it out to Miller, and that'll close out the first half. Or will it? Timeout called by New England.
Good call. Good timeout. Managed this game all the way through the first half. Ryan Tannehill goes the wrong way. Miller does a good job of holding on to it, but Bill Belichick sees an opportunity here. It's 3rd and long, and the New England Patriots have timeouts.
And still have 2 more.
Make the Dolphins punt the football. Maybe time for 1 or 2 plays.
Actually, 1 timeout remaining.
And what you do here, Jim, you run the football if you're the Miami Dolphins. You make the New England Patriots use this timeout.
Well, they're going to run it. They're going to do so out of the shotgun. On 3rd and 10. instead. Over to Miller. It's near the first down.
Now that was as good as a run. Nice and safe where you can keep the clock moving. And it gets the first down. It's in front of all the players. Hard for us to see.
And they'll head to the locker room. First half dominated by Brady and the Patriots, leading 21-0. Trying to lock up that first round bye. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You are listening to a Pepsi anthem by Aerosmith. Download this and other NFL-inspired anthems at PepsiAnthems.com. 21-0. 2 Ridley touchdown runs and a Brady touchdown toss to Welker. They got it underway. And again, here's the AFC playoff picture, and things kind of play out the way they're going right now with New England and Denver both up big. You would have in the wild card weekend Indianapolis at Baltimore. Well, we know that's going to be for certain anyway. Cincinnati would be taking on Houston for the second straight year in the wild card round. But let's not dispense with this one quite yet. 21-0. Second half kick is coming up to Miami, and the Dolphins had some chances that slipped away in that first half.
2 big chances and let them both get away. Could have been 2 touchdowns. And also, I want everybody to know it's really cold in this booth. Not that you care. But the other thing is, too, New England, as well as any team in the NFL, they can take a bad week and turn it into such a positive. And you know all week long their practice sessions probably were intense, getting ready because they were not happy with the way they played. And they are so far taking it out on the Miami Dolphins.
And I don't think you can underestimate, when Tom Brady steps up.
Yes.
And is the leader of this team. And, admonishes perhaps some of the effort, some of the intensity that he felt was missing. You get this kind of response. Big Pen in trouble and swamped at the 5. Malcolm Williams bouncing around after making that play. Tannehill throwing for 95 yards and a pick, his first in 139 throws. Brady extending his consecutive games with a touchdown pass to 48 in a row. Moving past Johnny Unitas, who used to work at Bill Belichick's father's summer football camp, Steve Belichick's camps. Unitas was the contributor. First and 10 for Miami from the 6. And dangerous throw is incomplete to Fasano. Ball was tipped, actually. I think Chandler Jones, there he is, got a hand on it.
Yeah, it was tipped by Chandler Jones. But what I like, too, it's the cold weather. You're playing the Miami Dolphins and a rookie quarterback. They're trying not to give him any easy throws. So the defensive backs, here it is again. Look how close they are to the line of scrimmage.
Second and 10. Fasano has the grab this time and tries to drive Patrick Chung back. Gets within 1 of a first.
I do like this safety combination of the Patriots when they have Gregory and Patrick Chung both in there. They're fast, they're smart, not afraid to make aggressive plays. Unless I say that, they take both of them out of the game.
Yeah. Chung steps out.
Go!
3rd and 1. Up the middle, it's Bush. And it looks like he's got enough for the first. Bush needed 40 yards at the beginning of the day for a 1,000-yard season. With that carry, he's now up to 2 on the day, 2 yards.
Jim, I thought he was going to be short because watch the defensive lineman. There's Kyle Love. Pouncey can't move him. Vince Wilfork is just, hey, look, it's the luck of the spot of the ball. The officials come in and give you the extra 6 inches. You get a first down.
First down at the 16. Here's Bush again. Tripped up early. And he gives back the 2 yards that he had earned on the day, and maybe goes into negative category with a loss of 3.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Reggie Bush has got to be disappointed. 1,000 yards, that's a milestone for running backs, and especially a guy like him coming from New Orleans, second year here, and everybody always talked about, well, he can't run consistently in between the tackles. He has shown us he can.
He was looking to have, and still is, consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Only 2 Dolphins have ever done that. Larry Zonka and Ricky Williams.
How about that?
2nd and 13. Good pass. Tannehill to Bush. That had to be precise. And he gets him out of the backfield. Chased down by Mayo. First down Miami.
It was precise. And this again, I said it, get the ball to Reggie Bush. He's one of the few real playmakers on this football team. And if you want matchups, I don't care what linebacker covers Reggie Bush for the New England Patriots. He should win that matchup.
A gain of 19. Bush is a free agent at the end of the season. Tannehill. Dedrick was chasing after him, and he flips it away in the area of Bush. And again, it was Justin Francis defending Bush, if you will, on that shuffle pass.
Everybody plays in his football team for New England. If the Patriots defense is not good at stopping screens, then who can be? Because their defense sees a lot of screens every single day in practice from the Patriots offense.
2nd and 10.
Baker.
And Tannehill. Nowhere to go, and Wilfork has him for the quarterback sack.
Nothing happens fast, Jim, so he's got to wait. And then look, any quarterback tries to step up, but now Scott makes him move, and Vince Wilfork gets the sack. But here's the big thing. Look how tight the coverage is to everybody down the field.
Nothing there.
No, you think Hartline's open, but the safety was reading the quarterback. If he had looked that way, he would have been covered.
3rd sack of the year for Vince, the Pro Bowler. 3rd and 12. And again, they get to Tannehill. Trevor Scott, you've mentioned he was in on the last play that forced the Wilfork quarterback knockdown, and this time Trevor Scott gets credit for his 3rd sack of the year.
99, he is a high-effort player, and you have to stay, that time, he beats Garner, pushes him back, then falls off and gets the sack. Tight coverage once again, making the quarterback hold the football. Defensive line gets there. Tannehill's shook up.
Scott had 2 sacks in the first matchup against Miami. So all 3 sacks on the season have come at the expense of Tannehill. For Trevor Scott. This one's really flushed by Fields. And it falls out of bounds off the fingertips of Welker. So 2 sacks on that series by the New England defense. And it's 21-0 Patriots. The rookie campaign for Ryan Tannehill may be over, as he was sacked. He definitely was dazed. They're warming up Matt Moore. That's Lloyd with his first catch of the game for 9. And Tannehill staggered to the sideline, Phil.
Yeah, he did, Jim, and it's, I think you might be right. It'll be interesting to see if he does come back in. That was a nice throw by Tom Brady. Outside, tight coverage, bad weather. You play a good football team up here, that's what you might have to do, so get some practice at it. Be interested to see if we see Gronkowski here in the second half, too.
2nd and 1. Ridley darts back to the inside for the first down. Although they adjust the spot a little bit, it may not be enough. They initially had it cross that unofficial yellow line. So now they're going to say 3rd and a foot. 4 times Tannehill was sacked in this game.
Over.
Looking over the picture, so that tells me he might come back in.
We should have seen him making his way to the sideline. 3rd and 1. I would be very surprised if they didn't run a battery of tests on him, to be honest. I mean, he tried to get up, fell back down, and then to the sideline. He definitely was just struggling to get back to the sideline. Really walking sideways.
Yes, he
all
did.
Cockeyed. I mean, there are all kinds of stringent rules now, and even earlier than this when he first got up. he signaled to the sideline.
Yeah, he wobbled when he first got up. He staggered and then kind of went sideways, and he gathered himself and ran off, or jogged off, I should say.
1st and 10 off of Ridley's pickup. Brady just hopping around now with a flag down. He dives back to the line of scrimmage.
How about that pass protection? So that's all it took. Tom Brady held a meeting and talked to the team, and you get this kind of pass protection.
Holding, defense, number 24, 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
Not that he was upset with his offensive line. That was not the...
I know. I'm just kind of being a little sarcastic.
Yeah, I say. I should know that.
Man, I should have yelled a little more. But, hey.
How often did you read the riot act?
Talk to the team in my whole life. Pee Wee football, 0.
Really?
No, I waited till I got in that huddle. See right there?
Yep.
And that's when I let them have it.
Never during the week did you ever hold a player meeting?
Never.
Okay.
I didn't talk as much back then, Jim. I'm making up for it now, though, right?
That was just too easy. I had to let that go.
Yeah,
1st and 10. And Ridley this time wrapped up by Carlos Dansby for no gain. Well, we've been, focusing in on the AFC playoff scenarios, and over on the NFC side, the Bears win at Detroit, and if Green Bay wins, that would put the Bears into the playoffs. But if Minnesota wins that game, then Minnesota's in and Chicago is out. San Francisco struggling with Arizona, and look at Seattle as the NFC West still up for grabs. Both tight games.
Teams do not. Shannon Sharp was talking about the U-Haul games. We just don't see many of them anymore.
2nd and 10, that's incomplete. And of course tonight, Dallas and Washington for the NFC East. There is no scenario any longer for Washington to lose the game and still get in as a wild card. Going into the day, that was a possibility, but with the early results, Washington has to win to get in. Same goes for Dallas.
It'll be an exciting game. When you talk about those U-Haul games, I shouldn't say that. I did see the Giants play the Eagles today.
That was a pretty lame effort by the Eagles.
Yeah,
you have to say it.
It was terrible.
The defenders were so far off of anybody.
The Giants couldn't decide whether to run it or throw it because they could get 10 yards either way.
Yeah.
So that was their toughest decision.
3rd and 10, coming after Brady, and he is walloped. He saw it coming, too, from Brian McCann.
Yeah, good disguise. Always have to be alert. The offense is on the left hash, and that's when the right corner is going to come over here from the short side. They got the guy there to block it, and the Patriots don't see it.
Here's Brady seeing him.
Yep.
Bearing down on him.
Able to protect himself, which is important.
His left shoulder absorbs the hit, and out to punt is Zoltan Mesko. Oh, is that a beauty? Into the wind. Big Pen gets away from Slater and out to the 32-yard line. Well, Brady decked for the first time today. And after a 56-yard punt, the ball goes back to Miami, but the Dolphins are down 21-0. Back here in Foxborough and back into the huddle is Tannehill.
Yeah, think about how this works, Jim. When there is something like that, they could call down and tell the bench they saw this. There's an independent person watching from upstairs, a medical staff guy. Then the Miami medical staff would be allowed to go to a monitor and look at the hit and see how he stumbled off the field, and then they could evaluate him on the sidelines. Now, they could have evaluated him. We didn't see every second when he was on the sidelines, but apparently they think he's okay. That's why he's back in the game.
If they did evaluate him, it was quickly done. And toss to Lane, his fullback. This is what you're talking about, Phil. On the last series when he was sacked by Trevor Scott.
Grabs his head.
Yeah, that's what gives you one clue.
Oh, there's the big one.
But watch after this. After he finally is up on his feet and wobbling. With the new rules that are in place, you would think that definitely is worth an examination. Of course, we don't know. Again, maybe they did. We didn't see it. Play action fake. Tannehill. Batted down by Arrington. Pass intended for Rashard Matthews. Nice play by Arrington.
Yeah, very nice. Number 24, Kyle Arrington, he's coming on, really doing a good job. Plays the slot defender sometimes when Aqib Talib is in there, but doesn't even touch Fasano, the receiver. Sees the football and goes around him and knocks it down with the proper hand, too.
And again, they're playing without corners. Aqib Talib and Alfonso Dennard both inactive today. There's a completion up the middle to Binns, who had a great chance on a touchdown ball in the first half. This one goes for 21.
That was a nice catch. A very nice throw by Tannehill. Up the seam, it is tight, and these are the plays you have to make in this league. The windows are small. Ryan Tannehill put it in there.
First down throw and another completion. Back to Binns, who stretches it out. And they say he was out of bounds. He was reaching for that first down marker. He's about 2 yards short. You thought your fantasy season was over. It's not. NFL Playoff Challenge is back and better than ever. And you could win a trip to Super Bowl 48 in 2014. Play today, NFL.com/fantasy. We'll call it 2nd and 1. It's Bush getting outside, getting the first down, spinning away from the hit. And his best run of the day picks up the first down at the 22, a gain of 9.
I don't know if Ryan Tannehill is reading this or not, but so far there has not been an opportunity for him to keep that football on these zone reads. But Reggie Bush, well, it's hard to ever watch a Miami Dolphins game where he doesn't make a play that catches your eye.
You know, he, as I mentioned, is going to be a free agent. He wants to stay in Miami.
Well, they need to bring him back.
Heavy preference for him. 1st and 10. Pass caught by Fasano as Hightower went for the pick. Ball's on the ground. They rule him down. And a gain of 13.
See, now the Miami Dolphins, this offense, I like what they're doing. Throwing underneath.
Fasano was hit by Steve Gregory, and he is still laid out. Here comes the hit right here. Ooh, boy. Okay, Fasano really struggled to get to the sideline after this hit. Held on to it, picked up the first down. 1st and goal to go for Miami. Fake to Bush. Shuffle pass to Lane. And he's down to the 4-yard line. Tannehill to his old Texas A&M teammate for a gain of 5.
See, Gregory gets the hit on Fasano. You saw how it, well, you understand why he's not in the game, that's for sure. Did walk off the field.
2nd and goal. Trying to get on the board for the first time. Bush loses the football. Down near the goal line. New England is there to fall on it. Never had the clean handle. And the recovery by Hightower. New England takes over after the takeaway just outside of the end zone. Their 9th red zone takeaway of the year, and this is officially charged. The fumble, that is, to the quarterback, to Tannehill.
Well, there's the zone read. Everybody talks about it. You hand it off, you lose 3 yards. If the quarterback kept it, you're going to lose at least 3. They had it covered.
Brady just unloads it as he had Burnett bearing down on him.
You know, it's an inside blitz. You play quarterback. I love these inside blitzes that the Dolphins have used. They haven't used it today like I thought they would.
Burnett got right past Ridley.
It's Jim, you and I talked about it. We saw the Cincinnati Bengals do it to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kevin Coyle, the defensive coordinator, comes from Cincinnati, and rushers up inside. It's hard for running backs to square them up. They get to the quarterback.
Yeah, old Mike Zimmer strategy.
Absolutely.
2nd and 10. Skipping outside, Ridley. Taken off. First down at the 13. Nice burst, huh? 13 yards.
How good was that? We talked about it. Thought we'd see more today. He's impressive when you watch run. So decisive. You know, the word coming out of the draft 2 years ago, oh, maybe not fast enough, but he plays fast when you put that football in his hand. Wes Welker, you got to do it all when you play for this team. Nice block on the outside against Sean Smith.
New England now over 100 yards as a team running the football today. 102. They stay on the ground. There he goes. Ridley for 8 more. Running behind Nate Solder. And they're taking Fasano inside after taking that hit to the helmet.
Well, you're the Miami Dolphins. How do you feel over there? You've had at least 2 touchdowns that were there. You couldn't take advantage, maybe 3. And now you have the Patriots backed up. 2nd and 10, and they get a first down on you running the football.
Run it again. Ridley this time. He is taken back 2. Another update from out the Mile High City. Broncos at 35-3. They are going to be the 1 seed in the AFC. How about that? Going to be 11 straight wins for Denver.
Yeah, it's they've put it all together. I've said it. Yes, Peyton Manning is playing terrific. But when you watch the Broncos play, we did a game of theirs in Carolina. It was the defense. The defense against the Bengals, against the Carolina Panthers, even against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, they got it done.
3rd down and 3. And another first down to Welker. Every crucial spot today. Not that there's ever been desperate times for New England, but they've gone to Welker when they've needed a play, and it goes for 20.
Well, think about this passing game today for the New England Patriots. Where's it been? Over the middle and screen plays. And I love how they stack the receivers, and the initial coverage is good. But what happens? Everybody, you can tell that time, everybody's looking at the quarterback. Wes Welker keeps moving, and then Tom Brady anticipates the lane to throw it in.
Good fake. Brady able to cash in off that. Look at this catch, and then is picked up by the Dolphins. That should be Miami football. It's Clemens with it. Clemens taken off, and touchdown Miami.
I'm sitting here getting ready to show this play because this is their favorite down the field play action. Nice throw and catch.
You ever seen anything like that?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I did not see it. First off, let's see if he has possession. Control the football. Incomplete.
Going to be incomplete. Look at Welker attempting to hold on to the football. So under review, as always, every touchdown or turnover has to be verified. This touchdown is not going to hold up because it was never a completion.
Well, watch the football going to the ground. There would have to be a period of time elapse, even if he had possession of the football, but clearly hits the ground. That's unbelievable.
After reviewing the play, it is an incomplete pass. The ball touched the ground. It's now 2nd down and 10 at the 41-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 1 minute, 35 seconds. 1:35.
And if you're a Dolphin fan and you look at what Welker's done ever since he was traded back in 07 to New England, it must be hard to take. 664 catches through a 6-season span, the most ever in the history of the league in a 6-year stretch.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, you asked me before the game, he's putting up Hall of Fame numbers. But you know what? It's knowing what to do with these players. That's as much as anything. It's not always about talent. It's about finding the right scheme and developing it
Read it.
And the Patriots had done it, and Wes Welker's taking advantage of it.
2nd down and 10. And the pass off the fingertips of Gronkowski. Hernandez was in the area also. Well, the Broncos are on their way to winning for the 11th straight time and locking up the #1 seed. 2nd straight playoff berth in his 2 years there for Coach John Fox. And in that game today, Manning over 300 yards with 3 touchdown passes, 2 to Decker, 1 to Thomas.
Wow.
And they're going to have a week off.
It's gone even better than they anticipated. I can tell you that. They knew it was good. They were hoping they could get it together and make a late season run. I think 11 in a row is a good late season run.
3rd and 10. Welker depends on the spot. They have about a yard short. You know, we were with Denver 3 of the first 5 weeks, so we saw them in that stretch where they lost their 3 games. Not that we were eyewitnesses to all 3 losses, but it was when they were still melding and molding a team. And there were so many doubters out there about them, and specifically about Peyton Manning. Arm strength, he's never going to be all the way back. I mean, I heard it on all these shows. And 11 wins in a row later, here they are, the #1 seed.
Well, and there's no doubt about it. You know, we saw it up here. They fell behind the Patriots, and they were coming on strong at the end of the game, had a few turnovers, which cost them a chance to win.
Timeout called by Miami. By the way, the Sun Bowl tomorrow on CBS. USC takes on Georgia Tech down in El Paso. Well, we wish our crew down there all the best. Their season finale with Vern and Gary and Tracy and Steve Milton and Craig Silver.
Now, Miami called I'm sorry, Jim. Miami called a timeout because Ryan Mallett came in with the first punt team. So they saw it. They said, "Uh-oh, something's up." They weren't ready for it, so they called a timeout.
Let's go. Got some hang time here. Big pin. Waits for the fair catch. 35-yard punt. Ball will be marked at the 15. We've got an update. Let's go back to James Brown and Boomer Esiason.
Boomer, by land or by air?
Adrian Peterson's all over the place, guys. Here comes Christian Ponder on a rollout. 2-yard touchdown pass to Adrian Peterson. They take the lead 27-17. He has 144 yards on the ground, 64 to break Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record.
And plenty of time to go. Jim Nantz and Phil Simms.
Very impressive late season surge here by the Vikings. Thank you, fellas. Vikings trying to get in and will do so with a victory.
It just shows you big and tough still gets it done this league. A little kind of a rebirth of some of the old philosophies working.
Tannehill going down again. It was Francis on him. He's having quite a game. Chandler Jones as well.
Well, coverage down the field, just holds it, doesn't see anybody open, and once again, when he moves in the pocket, look at the defensive linemen. Their hands are on the offensive linemen. They can get off and make the sacks, and there is nothing even where you could think about throwing the football down the field.
The sack is credited to Francis. It's 2 on the day. Tannehill's throw is almost intercepted. Chung was leaping into the air, and Benz was the receiver that Tannehill was gunning for.
It's a blitz that time by the Patriots. Here comes Martin. Oh, nice job of picking it up. But blitzing makes you react a little faster, and that time Chung had the interception, just couldn't make the catch.
Yes, he did, right through his hands. After 2 picks last week, late in the game against Jacksonville. 3rd and 11. For the long ball for Hartline, and he dives, and it's incomplete.
Well, again, it's a broken record. It is so obvious what the Patriots are going to play on the defensive side. You just need somebody to shake loose. Hartline, yeah, he did get a step, but we're talking about 40 yards down the field trying to squeeze it in between 2 defenders. I think we know what the Dolphins are going to work on this offseason. They got to get some guys to give them some easy yards and plays.
Fields is the Pro Bowl alternate. Miami 45. 43-yard punt, 12-yard return. Miami miscues. There have been many today.
Well, the interception, but here we go. Reggie Bush open for a touchdown. Benz misses a touchdown. Oh, could have been. Could have been. But the margin of error in the NFL is extremely small, and it's even smaller when you're on the road against a team that's used to going to the Super Bowl.
Coach Philbin was hoping to win this game against his division opponent. Close out the year 8-8 with 3 straight wins. In the first non-losing season it would be for Miami since 2008. Down 21-0, closing seconds, third quarter. Ridley. And a flag out.
Holding, offense, number 62, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
You know, when it comes to the second half of the season and how teams get better as the year goes on, New England had that loss to San Francisco here a couple of weeks ago, but from 2010, 11, and now 12, they are 22-1 in games the second half of the season. Only loss was that one to the 49ers.
You know, every week we come up here and you kind of talk like that, and I giggle because it's just the numbers, even for this day and age.
Yeah,
they're
out
of control.
They are. We talked to Brady about it this week, and he's almost numb to them.
They are. That's right.
Through 3, 21-0, Patriots. Back here for the fourth quarter with our crew under the command of Lance Barrow and Mike Arnold. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, 21-0. No scoring in that third quarter on either side as the Dolphins had a chance and a fumble down at the goal line, trying to go in. First and 20, batted down. That was Odrick. Got a hand on it. And again, the Denver win is not officially posted, though Peyton Manning has been pulled from that game as they are trouncing Kansas City and on their way to the #1 seed. The last #1 seed in the AFC to win the Super Bowl was New England, 2003. And Patriots the last to do so from that one spot on the AFC side. There's the crossover to Danny Woodhead for 8. Now we're hearing Kevin Burnett, who's had an active day on that Miami defense. He's out for the rest of the game with a concussion.
Now, I know if you're sitting home watching, you go, well, when do they take Tom Brady out? Well, when they know they have this game completely under control and there's no chance to lose. I think the obvious one, I'm watching to see if Gronkowski comes back in this game.
3rd and 12. To Woodhead. Stop short of the first. Vernon, the one who brought him down after 9.
You know, you talked about Wes Welker in Miami. Well, whatever. It's working here. How about Danny Woodhead?
Yeah.
Released by the New York Jets, who really, I don't think they wanted to release him, but it comes down to who did we draft, what decision we make. Woodhead was a free agent, so he was let go.
He was let go after the first game he played for the Jets in 2010, week 1. He was waived on that Monday after it and then immediately signed by the Patriots and contributing ever since. Mesco does exactly what he set out to do. Pins Miami inside the 10 on the 29-yard pooch punt. Caught by Matthews. Back for the final 13 and a half here at Gillette Stadium. Patriots with a win into the #2 spot and a bye next week. Tannehill flings it from the goal line, and it is pulled down. Nice grab by Hartline. Because Hartline had that monster performance against Arizona this year when he caught 12 passes for 253.
Now what he does, he sells the down the field routes very well. And you go, well, why honor the down the field routes? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he gets deep and open.
Open for 22 on that play. First down, Tannehill. Takes the underneath stuff, and Miller does make the catch. Couldn't find it for a moment, but he's got another first down. Gain of 12.
That's a good job staying with it. Nice touch throw by Ryan Tannehill.
You know, the wind chill out there is at about 0 right now. We asked Tannehill this week if he'd ever played in a really cold weather game. He said a couple, but the coldest of all that he could remember was when he was a young kid, incomplete to Benz, a junior high game. They played in snow and sleet down in Greenwood, Texas. Tannehill.
He also said, hey, it gets cold in Texas. And,
yeah, don't kid yourself.
And it did. It's been cold down there this week. It's cold in Texas about twice a year, though.
It's got a 2nd and 10. Toss over to Hartline with McCourty bringing him down right away. That's good for 3. No, Tannehill trained before the draft last year with Russell Wilson, who has starred, of course, for Seattle. They were together for 2 months down at the IMG Academy in Florida. Good pals, stay in touch. Both, of course, turning in fine rookie seasons, and Wilson's just been sensational as a 3rd-round pick. 3rd and 7. Chase is on. Tannehill able to unload and incomplete. You talk to Philbin about his rookie quarterback. He says when he walks off the field, he has a very good ability to recall what happened, where everyone was on the field. Self-awareness. It's going to take him far, he said. He got hit again.
And that was legal. Still in bounds. Out of the pocket. Ooh, that's close, though. Helmet almost gets Ryan Tannehill. It's a good job. I believe the Dolphins here, you're down 21-0, 4th down. You need to go for it.
Need to get to the New England 46 for the first. Stepping up, open man. Oh, it's dropped. Dropped by Benz. His 2nd of the day. He had one that would have been a touchdown in the first half. Pass was right where it had to be. Ball back to New England. We're back with Miami taking over on downs. Pitching a shutout here today, 21-0. End around with Welker. Manawanui helps seal the side, and Welker scampers for 11. Here's Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, who bought the team after the 2008 season. Chairman of the board of this organization, and I think for a first year with a rookie quarterback and a first-year coach, he's got to be pleased with the improvement.
Yeah, they have to be. I think it's no matter what happened here today, this is a successful year for the Miami Dolphins. You know what they found out here today? Man, we got a lot of work to do to measure up to this team they're playing against. But you can gain ground fast in the NFL.
And there's another run by Ridley for 6. Well, the Houston Texans, as we go through our playoff preview, slumping at the end of the season, but heading to the playoffs. And they're going to be hosting in the wild card game Cincinnati for the 2nd straight year. 12-win season, but going into the playoffs, with no momentum right now.
It's been rough the second half of the season for the Houston Texans.
Over.
You think about it, they had to go in overtime to beat Jacksonville and Detroit.
There's Ridley for no gain. You think about the day begins and they had a chance to be home field throughout. Number 1 seed. They're going to fall back now to the 3 line and have to play next weekend. And Baltimore will be hosting Indianapolis next week.
Yeah, they're hoping Ray Lewis will be back. You know, Cam Cameron let go as offensive coordinator down in Baltimore. I don't care if you're a football fan. I still find it upsetting. But maybe they've righted the ship.
3rd and 4, and you saw Gronkowski come back into the game, and they threw the pass in his direction.
There it was again. He comes into the game. Nobody's covering him, Jim, and we talk about that when we do Patriot football games. Tom Brady, how many times have you been the quarterback where there's an uncovered receiver and he goes, what I think he said, at least 10 times he's thrown the football to somebody that was not covered.
And Brady is going to call a timeout. With 10 minutes to go in the game, 4th and 4 coming up out of the break. Coach Belichick and his team going for it here on 4th and 4 from the Miami 30.
The wind would be left to right, would make the field goal extremely hard.
Run your left.
And 47 yards might do it too.
Going to be good enough for another first down. Again, in a pinch, go to Welker. Gain of 7.
He's just so quick running these types of routes, and he gives all these all the moves, and he breaks out full speed. Tom Brady has thrown it to him so many times. They have the rhythm and timing, no doubt about that. I've seen Wes Welker, you know, Tom Brady said it. He takes off full speed, but he has all these different releases where he skips and tries to change the pacing so when he makes a break, he separates from the defender.
First down fake to Woodhead, down the middle of the man. Gronkowski has a touchdown.
Well, they love it when they get down inside the 20-yard line, play action fake, the defense, the seam between the safety and the corner, everybody's up with the run, nobody covering. Gronkowski, easy touchdown.
His 11th touchdown of the season. And what a way to come back after sitting out for 5 games. That's a play they have feasted on through the years.
Oh, it's their number 1 red zone or get inside the 30 pass play. Throw it to the big guy.
And it's now 28-0. We're back here at New England. Brady's second touchdown pass of the day. Gronkowski on the receiving end of it. The other one to Welker in the first quarter. McCourty has to hold the football in these gusty winds as Gostowski delivers another touchback. Well, some of the headlines. Of course, this set the table for the late afternoon importance. Indianapolis toppling the Texans in Pagano's return. Chicago doing what it had to do, and now the Chicago fans are, for once, cheering for Green Bay. Cincinnati and Baltimore, they really pulled the starters on each side in the second half of that game. Bengals won, and that secures and locks down Baltimore as the 4 seed. We'll be hosting a game next week on Wild Card Weekend, the Ravens will. And Cincinnati, of course, is in as the 6th seed. And we'll be heading to Houston for the 2nd straight year. Tannehill to Matthews for a gain of about 3. So even though it's not quite final, put it in the books. Denver's
They're going to hang on out there, I think.
going to be the 1 seed. And once New England pulls even with Houston when this clock expires, by virtue of their head-to-head blowout victory over Houston, New England will get the 2, dropping Houston down to the 3 and a game next week. 2nd and 6. It's over over to Bush. And he is swung out of bounds by Chung, about a yard shy of a first. It's much more complicated, really, on the NFC side, and so much hinging on Green Bay and Minnesota in a tie now in the fourth quarter. And again, if Green Bay loses here, by the way, we keep talking about the Minnesota-Chicago scenarios. Win-loss, win Minnesota's in, loss by the Vikings and Chicago's in. But Green Bay can drop from the 2 line and a bye to the 3 because San Francisco is going to beat Arizona. 3rd and 2. There's a nice catch. And that's Benz making a hard catch this time after a couple of drops. We've got an update. Back to you, JB and Boomer.
Hey, Jim and Phil, a controversial Green Bay score.
It really was, JB. Here, this was ruled a fumble, which initiates a review. Mike McCarthy throws the red flag. Jordy Nelson picks it up. This is ultimately ruled a touchdown, a big break for Green Bay. 15-yard penalty on the ensuing kickoff, but they were able to review this play to leave it stand a touchdown.
All knotted at 27. Jim Nance, Phil Simms.
All right, guys, and again, a good point there. They put the penalty on the kickoff because it's automatic on the turnover. It was ruled a fumble at first. It's going to be reviewed, so McCarthy didn't have to throw the red flag. It's similar to what we saw with Coach Schwartz down on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, where we expect that rule to be changed when this year is over.
Hey, Lee. What's up?
First down for Miami with 8 minutes left. Escapes Cunningham, and Bush was the target there. Inside the NFL on Wednesday night, you, JB, and Chris, you guys are going to be breaking down the postseason on Showtime inside the NFL.
Well, Chris Collinsworth has a message for you, Jim Nance.
Uh-oh.
Yep, he said, I only have to deal with Sims for 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
He goes, you got him for 3. So, whatever that's supposed
You think I
to
didn't
mean.
know that?
Okay.
Yeah, we've been texting each other all week.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, lamenting.
Yeah, you two can write a book about it.
2nd and 10. Oh, and Tannehill is hit by Derek Martin.
Derek Martin has been near the line of scrimmage a lot today and has been trying to pressure the quarterback. I like this. They are not just going to sit back and let you march down the field.
Yeah, Martin's blitzed a couple of times. He came close to a sack in the first half, and he gets one here.
You know, though, I know it's getting late in the game. The score 28-0, but overall, Ryan Tannehill has been solid today. Bad weather, good football team, last game of the year. He's made a lot of nice throws.
He's been sacked more often today than any other time this year. 6 times. Might be 7. It is. Francis for the 3rd time today. Undrafted rookie out of Rutgers. No sacks on the year before today. Now he's got 3 in this game.
You know, I forgot he didn't have any sacks because when you watch him play, he jumps out a little bit. You go, wow, number 94. Wait, he's an undrafted rookie. Him along with Chandler Jones, there's some bright spots coming on for this pass rush with the New England Patriots. But once again, hard to throw the football when you can't find anybody open.
Fields. This one will bounce sideways. Welker will leave it alone, and it travels on and on to the 16. 53 yards in all for Fields. How about the Indianapolis Colts into the playoffs at 11-5?
Incredible.
After what they went through last year and really turned over the roster in so many ways. Of course, you get that first pick, and Luck has been sensational, and you get the Pagano story and all that inspirational play by the Colts. What a story and a win today. They're the 5 seed. Will be playing at Baltimore next week. And picking up 11. I'd like to welcome those of you who saw the Broncos today trample the Kansas City Chiefs and lock up the #1 seed in the AFC. Jim Nantz and Phil Simms here in New England, where we're 6 minutes away from the Patriots officially moving into the 2 spot. So home field advantage for the Broncos, and New England on its way to getting a bye and then hosting in the divisional round in 2 weeks.
What's Tom Brady still doing in there? Well, because they want to secure the football. Of course, they're going to play it very safe. He hasn't been really. I don't know if has he been knocked to the ground today? Yeah, I guess
he got sacked by McCann the one time. Yeah.
Yes, he did get sacked. He saw it coming.
That was Bolden with that last run for no gain. 2nd and 10 coming up. So again, the AFC playoff picture: Indianapolis at Baltimore next week. It's going to be Cincinnati at Houston. We don't know the days and times yet. That'll all be determined tonight. Denver and New England get the coveted bye week. Bolden, rookie from Ole Miss. He's shown flashes of brilliance this year. He takes it all the way to the Miami 48. Again, next Sunday will either be at 1 o'clock or 4:30 Eastern time with a wild card game here on the home of Super Bowl 47. And it all begins with a special playoff edition of the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. At noon or 4 o'clock Eastern, the playoff season commences next weekend. 24-yard run by Bolden. First down. And it's Bolden again. Picks up 2. And how about the Cincinnati Bengals? Second straight year. Coach Marvin Lewis takes the Bengals to the postseason.
That is a young, dangerous football team. Not only this year, but for the future. We saw it with our own eyes last week.
Yeah, when they locked it up, the playoffs, that is, with a win at Pittsburgh.
Pass rushers, always a big deal. And a wide receiver, an A.J. Green, who could win a game by himself.
Over.
You know, you look at this game, have a game plan when you come in. I'll tell you what I mean here in a second.
So you saw Belichick still coaching them up on the sidelines.
Heck yeah.
Heading to the postseason and trying to be a head coach in a Super Bowl for a record-tying 6th time if they can get to New Orleans, which would tie him with Don Shula, who has the record at 6.
You know, Jim, go back to when they didn't try the field goal in the first quarter because of the conditions. He made that decision in pre-game warm-up. So I know he told Tom Brady, look, when we cross the 40, we're in 4-down territory. The second time they didn't kick it, they went on down and scored a touchdown.
3rd and 6. And Welker has a first down. Welker with 8 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. Well, Tom Brady's going to have a 12-win season for the 7th time in his career. Playoffs, 9 of the last 10 years for New England.
Trivia here. Ready?
Yep.
The one time they didn't make it, how many games did they win that year?
Well, that was, of course, the year that Brady went out week 1, and Castle led them to an 11-5 record.
How about that?
Yep.
You win. 11 wins. And I don't know the answer. How many times has that been done where you didn't make the playoffs in the NFL? I'm going to say it was the second, just offhand.
That's very rare. 2-minute warning. New England about to put the finishing touches on an impressive performance.
I'll stump you the next time.
Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and a robotic breakthrough that is stunning the medical world, followed by NCIS, The Good Wife, and The Mentalist. Tonight on America's #1 network, CBS. Well, the Dolphins are going to go into the offseason coming up 7-9. They've got some free agent issues. They've got to sign some players. They've got Jake Long's up for free agent, Reggie Bush as well. There's a handoff to Bolden. Patriots just like to run the clock out here in the final 2 minutes. Got another update. Let's get to New York briskly.
Vikings fighting to get into the postseason.
Back and forth they go. Here comes Christian Ponder breaking the pocket, rolls to his left, finds Michael Jenkins, 3-yard TD, 34-27. Minnesota takes the lead, 45 yards for the rushing record for Adrian Peterson is what he needs.
7:30 left in regulation. Jim Nance, Phil Simms.
Of course, so much hinging on that game. 3rd and 7. A whole lot of concern about that record right now when you got a whole season on the line for not only Minnesota but Chicago, and affects San Francisco too, and Green Bay, who gets the bye.
Christian Ponder went through a stretch where it was rough, and people were getting on him up there in Minnesota. Is he the guy? Well, they were running an offense where they only asked him to throw in obvious situations, but the last few weeks putting up better numbers and a bigger part of what they're doing. And I think we've seen that against Green Bay today.
A lot of good updates coming out of Studio 43 today. We thank Eric Mann, Bob Mattina, and all the crew back there with JB and Boomer's constant explanations of these playoff scenarios. Beautifully done. Look at Malcolm Williams. They just brought him up. Signed him for the 2nd time this year, and he's there to down it at the 3 with 32 seconds to go. Again, in a couple of weeks from now, Denver will be hosting, New England will be hosting in the divisional round. Next week, Houston will try to recover and turn things around. They've been slumping here in the last month. Baltimore will be hosting Indianapolis, Cincinnati at the Texans. Trying to get his 1,000-yard season on the last play of the game. Got 19. That brings him up to 27. He's 13 yards shy. And he's going to fall short of that mark for consecutive seasons.
He showed his disgust. He got up and threw the football straight up in the air.
Partner, let's move on to the playoffs.
There we go. Looking forward to it.
New England's first shutout since 2009 when it blitzed Tennessee here. 28-0 is the final. Jim Nance and Phil Simms and all the crew saying so long from Gillette Stadium, where the Patriots get the first round bye with their victory today.